Welcome to Live, Laugh, Talk. I'm your host, James Graham. And you know what? This is the 50th episode. Can you believe that? 50 episodes. So in this episode, we're just going to have fun. 50 episodes in, and we're just going to sit back, talk about how we created the podcast, where we are now, and then we're going to have special guests calling in. So we're going to tell you, we've looked forward to this, and here it is. In addition, one more thing I want to tell you before we begin the podcast is that we want to make sure that you realize it's going to be a two-parter. So we're going to do part of it today, the other part on Friday, because we had so many guests calling in that we want to make sure that everybody gets heard. And it's not a big fat episode. So we're going to have multiple shows. So you're going to have to tune in today. We're going to leave you with a cliffhanger so that you tune in on Friday. If you have any ideas that you would like to add to our show's future, make sure you give them to admin at livelaughtalk.com. Make sure that if you're on Spotify, you leave a voice memo, you comment, you participate in the poll, and you follow us. Because, hey, now we're established. We're 50 episodes in. So we want to keep you, our fans. So let's get the show on the road. Episode 50 is a party. Here we are, episode 50. And I can tell you, when I first turned on this microphone, I didn't think that I would get this far. I didn't know if I would record episode number 2. I was a nervous wreck, and I know people don't believe it, but I'm very shy, and I really don't like my voice. So I was like, man, can I do this? Can I continue? But you know what? That's where you, the listener, come in. I've got to thank you because I want to give you the gratitude that you deserve. If it wasn't for you sending me messages, sending me text messages, emailing us, I would have had no idea of how much you cared about the show. So we get a lot of gratitude from you, yes. But we get the love and the passion. And you've been loyal. You've supported us throughout our podcast journey. And when we talk about the podcast journey, I want to reflect on the journey a little bit. You know, some highlights, some memorable moments from podcasting so far. I think the biggest highlight was when I had my first guest on the show. Her name was Riley. And just sitting here with her and her young energy, it was a lot of fun, very memorable. And I think that it changed a lot because I felt like before that I was telling the news. It just felt stoic. But when I had another person here in the studio, it just gave me momentum. And I felt like, oh man, this is like having a conversation. So I really enjoyed that. That was a highlight. And of course, there's been so many others having other guests on the show. We've had Darius to come on the show, speak with us. We've had Amy. We've also had Mico. So we've had people to come on, share their thoughts, be a part of the program. And there's just nothing better than that. And you know, when we discuss how this whole thing happened, I mean, I was in my darkest place, sitting on the phone, talking to my dad, and he suggested the podcast. I mentioned that in the very first episode. And from there, you know, he suggested on a Wednesday, I got to processing, and I'm that kind of person. I gotta research. I gotta look at this. I gotta look at it. And so I researched all night. I didn't sleep. Thursday, I was building the web page. Friday, I was writing material. Sunday, I was on the air with you. It was just that fast. And since then, we have got to 50 shows with 4 segments in every show. So technically, we've done 200 segments. That's amazing. And there's so many future plans, guys. I mean, I'm thinking we got to take it to the next level. I love an audio podcast. That's how it started. But then there's platforms that won't even allow me to be on them because I don't have video. So I'm thinking we might go to video. I think that's a good idea. Where we are now, though, in the thought process, is the very fact that my best camera is on my phone or my iPad, and I actually use them as the studio. So we've got to figure out how to get the camera issue taken care of. And that's not an excuse. That is actually a fact. But that's going to be future. I want to give the audience, all of you, a glimpse of what we do inside the studio and how can I do it without the camera. I want you to see me. I also want to give some shout outs to the team. There is a team, and it's a lot of it is me in the studio, but outside of that, I have my father, who should be listed as an editor, a contributor, a writer, because he hits me with some things. And I'm like, how did you think of that? And that becomes a show. Also, Darius, he's definitely one who stays on track. And I enjoy our conversations, and they turn into shows. Now we've had Mico to do the same. I want to thank my sister. She's always there supporting me ever since I was a little tyke and I couldn't defend myself. She's always defended me with the public, and she gives me so much energy. I want to thank Justine, who has sent me text messages of encouragement and a lot of times that motivation in the background. I want to thank Kevin. He has always been there for me too. And I want to thank my brother Owen. I have mentioned Owen on here before we even published some of his photography. We're going to have a show with him on it to talk about photography. But with Owen, it was so amazing is that I could just mention a guest and Owen can name what episode they were on. I can just say a word and Owen can say, oh, yeah, that was an episode such and such. He knows every episode, everybody is on it. He is actually the biggest fan. I've never imagined that this show would touch hearts, and it has with him. And I thank him so much for being encouraging to me. He's also a great contributor financially as well. He gives to the show. We got this microphone and sound kit and different things because of him. So, you know, we've had a lot of success because of the individuals around us. I want to thank so many people. And if I didn't list you, it's not that, oh, yeah, you're not important. No, it's that we only have so many minutes. And I do want to make sure that I mention 3 individuals that live with me. We have, in order of age, Paddington, Peyton, and Pennington. They are my 3 Yorkies. Now, they have no idea they're dogs. The most amazing thing about them is they want to sit right here with me. Every episode I have ever recorded, they're in the studio. I tried to put them outside the studio, and they begged and complained and was scratching on the door. So I opened the door and I let them sit in here, and they're at my feet. They're listening to every word. And they never, and you know, Yorkies are known for the yappiness, but you've never heard a peep out of them out of 50 episodes. They sit here, they listen. It looks to me like they actually know what I'm saying. So, so I want to give a thanks to them for always being my audience, but always being a quiet audience when need to. And you know what? You know what? I gotta acknowledge myself. So much dedication to this. I give my heart. And in everything I do, I strive to be the best. I give my everything. And I have with this. I have not been late. I have not missed an episode. I have been sick. I've ran a temperature. I have been in the bed. And the only thing I could do is lay the microphone on my stomach and talk. But I've done it. It was a lot of hard work, people. It's a lot of hard work to run a podcast. I'm the writer, I'm the producer, I'm the social media expert. I'm all of this by myself, and I've made it to 50 episodes, and I'm proud of it. I am very, very proud of it. I want to give myself a hand, and I'm going to be honest with you. It wasn't always easy, but I want you to know that I think of you. I think of you every time I record an episode. I think, you know what? There's somebody out there that's listening. There's somebody out there that's waiting. And I want to give them the best. And I work so hard to do so. So, as we get into episode 50, we want to remember that there's a lot of work that goes into it. That's true. But most important, there is you. You matter so much to me. So now, what we're going to do is we're going to answer our calls. We've got individuals that have called in that want to be a part of the show, and we're going to let them do just that. So again, thank you so much for being an amazing audience. You are an amazing audience. We thank you. And we're going to now listen to some of these callers. Darius,
Hey,
man, thank you for calling in, man. This is show 50. Can you
can you believe it?
believe it?
Man, I can believe it. I believe it when you started it, man. I'm so happy for you right now. And I just can't say enough. I'm so happy that you let me come on this show because, I've been waiting. I've been waiting for so long for you to kick this off, for you to say what you needed to say. But anyway, this your show. I'm not gonna take it over.
But I want you to no, this is the show. It really is the one for the people. It's the first one we're going to do. It's not going to have a standard. We're not going to sit here and go through every segment. We're not going to have the standard show, but we're going to just talk about how and all of this. I want to go back with you in that because we never really had a chance to do that. You came on the show, and then all of a sudden, here we are. But
Right.
I wanted the folks to know that you and I met each other, and we talked about this through who we call Dad, and we met each other through Ken. And then from that day forward, we started looking at each other's progress and where we were going, not only in our personal lives, jobs, everything else, but also where we were going spiritually, emotionally, all of these different leads. And we have always been in each other's life from that point forward. And so this whole concept of doing a podcast or being out there with the people, I wanted you to be a part of it. Day
Yeah.
one, you were
Yeah.
mentioned on the pilot show.
Yeah.
That
And
you
that was a special thing for me, going back, like we talked about on the show that I was on, when we first met, and Dad introducing us as brothers, and if you want to say it that way, prophecy, but he meant it to be so. And that's how we all loved each other. Well, me, you, mom, dad. And it's been that way ever since through all the different phases. You moving away, I was like, man, this not fair. I was like,
yeah.
life's not fair. I got my brother that moved out of town. Like, what am I supposed to do now? Sitting kicking my pail down the road for a couple of years, and but I'm so happy for the progress here, man. I know one of the things, like I had mentioned to you earlier, was how you always have this way to reinvent yourself.
Mm.
And I won't tell everybody all the different things that you've done. That's for you to do. But whether and whether it was being a stylist, your businesses, it was just always amazing to look at, not from a distance, but just to be looking behind you and like, yeah, that's my guy. That's my guy. Yep.
But none of those things are possible without support. And you've been there. I don't care what it was I was doing. I could have been out selling, ice to Eskimos, and you would have been right there with me, dipping in the bucket. And that's
Right.
that's the beautiful thing.
And sometimes, to talk about distance, I'm glad sometimes there were sometimes you were away that I was like, yeah, that's probably best because there were sometimes I want to kick you in the rear end. I'm like, had we been in the same space, it might not have gone so well, when you get to act it up. But either way, you always, stay true to who you were. You've always been authentic about what you're going through. And, that's the beautiful part about what we've been able to do for all these years. So, being here right now, with a milestone for you is great. And I hope everybody else that's been listening to your podcast that they really understand, what you put in, not just this, but what you put into everything.
I
You don't go into anything, looking to just do it mediocre. Yeah.
Not at
Nah, not if anybody ever seen you walk into a room, look at the clothes you have on.
all.
So, right? So there's nothing mediocre about James Graham at all. And that's the beautiful thing, the color of your personality. I think that's one way to say it.
Well, I appreciate that. And when we think about it, you mentioned the whole acting up thing. When I look at my life, where I was before this podcast, having lost who we call dad, having lost my biological mother, and having so many other losses that happened at the same time. I hate to go back and rehash sad things, but I have to because that's how the podcast was born. It
Right.
was born out of pain. And I just think about that. And when you mentioned the kicks in the butt, you would call me and just try to make sure I was okay. I'm getting out of bed that day because I couldn't even get out of the bed. And
Hmm.
so you were always the one there, like, "Hey, you doing okay?" And I'd be, after a while, I had to just tell you, "No, I'm not. I'm not okay
Right.
at all." And so what ended up happening from that was this podcast because now I get better because I talk to people uh, honestly about the things that I've had to deal with.
Hmm.
So the joys come out of that. But as you mentioned, never doing anything halfway. That comes from my mother and her background and my father. But
Right.
just like today, I walked into a restaurant with a fellow coworker, and this person walks up to me and say, "I love your outfit." And so the coworker goes like, "Do you? Does that happen to you every day?" And I'm like, "Yes." It goes to the point where I expect it.
Of course it does. Of
I,
course it does.
I never get tired of it. And that's the same way with the podcast. At first, people were like, "What? You're going to do 3 segments a week? You're going to do 4 segments a week, but 3 shows
Hmm.
a week? Like 4 segments each? You're going to lose your mind. You're going to run out of content." And then I've come to find out, they've come to find out that you never run out of content when it's something you love.
And
And
not while you're living. Not while you're
when you
living. You
get
shouldn't
and when
run out.
you're living it, when you
Right.
live in the podcast, and in addition to that, when you get people like yourself that support, that give ideas, that I can have a conversation, just a casual conversation with you, and it turns into a show. And only you know that when you hear that show, that hey, that's what he and I was talking about yesterday.
Right. And that's the thing.
So
I can't tell you how many times I'll listen to the show and you're talking about something on a cursory level, and I'm just giggling in the background, knowing what's really on your mind, what you could have said, didn't say,
because
or what.
the
Right. All the
raw
deets.
unedited
Right.
version of
Right.
that we can't air on
Right.
Apple Podcasts. We'd have to
Right.
rate it for what
Right.
how you and I talked that night. But then when we clean it up and we make it into a show, and that's people don't know all the behind the scenes, and you're one of the behind the scenes. So if I had to run credits, you would
Right.
be on those credits, and
Right.
that's how it is from the beginning. I mentioned that support was there day one with you and others who are gonna continue to be there for me, and I couldn't do any of this without you. But I do want to tell the people, out of as we approach the 50th show, I'm going to surprise you because I know this wasn't supposed to be a conversation, but I can't hide it. I can't hold it in no longer. I got to come out with it. That from that, we talked about from the beginning doing this together. And I wanted that, but there was so much in your life that you had to put together. You're a busy man. You got a lot going on, and you've talked about it in the episodes on this show that we could just never put our times together.
Hmm.
But from that, you said, I'm going to wake up and I'm going to do this thing myself. So I feel like, there it is, two brothers, two shows. You're coming out with your own show, and then we can have these conversations together on each other's show, but we can also sit and watch each other grow and have these type of milestones with each other, and it's going to be like Peyton and Eli. It's
Right.
going to be we're going to be at each other's
Right.
corner, hugging each other at the end of the day, because we know what we went through and we went through it together, and
Right.
now we're going to see the success of each other. And I'm so elated that
Right.
there is a new show out there with
Well, yeah, I
Darius.
wasn't expecting you. I wasn't expecting you to say that, but go
Now,
ahead.
I just want to say, I'm not going to steal your thunder. If you want to announce the name of the show so that the people can go on, or if you want to leave them in suspense and we announce it later, but I'll say
Well,
one
we here
day at
now.
a time.
We here now. I'm no punk. So,
There you go.
the
You
name
sure ain't.
the, the name of the show is Frankly Forward, Maladjusted. So
Love it.
to be maladjusted, that's you have to listen to the show to really get the flavor of it. But that idea of being maladjusted, one of my heroes is Martin Luther King. James, you know this already, and it may sound weird to some people, but I listen to something of Martin literally every single day. And
Powerful.
he did a sermon years and years ago, and he talked about being maladjusted. He opens up about the psychologists, how they use that word, the connotation to children, they don't act right. But then he goes on to talk about, he's happy to be maladjusted with regard to all the ills of the world. And, to go back to, what you talked about with why you started your podcast, it's the same thing for me. I've had my ups and downs, successes, and things that I would rather be doing, but everything has its seasons. And for me, it was a big, big, sense of unfulfillment that I was not out there talking to people, regardless of whether it was in a corporate setting, I was just not having enough conversations about anything. So
Right.
that's where the podcast came, because for me, even though I wasn't having the conversations, I was still having the conversations with myself, whether I was writing it in my journal or writing in a blog, still would never hit publish. And then here you come, doing the thing. I was like, okay, I've been talking talking about this for years. I said, a big brother can do it. I have no excuse, and so you got me here. So let's just say that I would not be doing any of this if it weren't for you right here, right now. So I'm excited to see, my own growth. I don't know where it's going to go. I don't really have like a benchmark to say it's a success. For me, it was success to hit the publish button on the trailer.
And, and,
So
and that's
right,
that's what it is. People don't
right.
know
So
when you're able to actually put it and make it real. They become a living baby by hitting that publish button.
right. So whatever it turns out to be, I'm happy with it because to go from nothing to something. So far, the feedback's been more than I expected, and because there's always that fear in the back of my head, is what I'm saying relevant? Because you know how I love statistics, I always have to scrub stuff.
Right.
When I went out there on Spotify, I'm looking at the charts, the way you look at Billboard, and I'm looking at the top 10, and you and I talked about this, and I don't want to say it was all trash, but it was like
It's all
entertainment stuff.
trash. I'll say it
Right.
for you.
Right. That's the thing. I hate to knock people that, put an effort on doing something. Like when I listen to hip hop, I'm like, I don't want to hear that. But, and so I still give them a, 1 star for trying. So, I look at the top 10, I'm like, nobody, I don't want, that is nothing that I'm doing. When you look at genres and what people talk about, I get from number 11 to number 20, still nothing that, as far as genre that I'm talking about. And it took me a while to like, okay, do I even have a niche? How am I going to get my voice out there? But it'll come along. The right people who are looking will find me, because I'm not for everybody. I don't intend to be.
And and the thing I like about it is the show continues to grow. It's like if I go back and I listen to show one, show two,
Hmm.
Each one got completely different. It was a while before I gained a rhythm,
Right.
because I was still looking for that. I was finding my voice. What I like about you and your show and people, it's called Frankly Ford Maladjusted. He has it on Spotify and every other platform out there, so you can find it. Please do. We're going to post it inside of this episode so you can click on it. And what I want to tell the people is something that I tell you in private. One thing is I've always told you that I'm jealous of your voice. Your voice is melodic. It sounds like music. It sounds like an instrument. And I absolutely love that most of all. I could just to me, your voice sounds like coffee smells in the morning when you wake up. That richness, that bass, it's all
And
there.
the thing is, though, it's a curse, though, James. I'm gonna use it to good effect right now, but it
And
can
you
be a
are.
curse, though. It's a curse because sometimes people get distracted, and then if they get distracted, I get distracted. So,
But the thing about that
yeah,
beautiful voice is the way to get in people's house. And so you're there.
right.
You're able to come in with that voice and walk through the door. But it's not just that. You're not that vacuum cleaner salesman that just comes in and throw dirt on the floor and then now you got to let him stay. You're coming in with information. I implore people to listen to your topics because you'll have a topic and I'll think about, oh, he's going to hit it from this angle, and then you go completely around and hit it from an angle I hadn't even thought about, and that's what I like. That is, you leave me with cliffhangers. I'm sitting there like I want more, and you're like, well, we're going to conclude this show, pick it up next. I'm like, no,
Well, yeah, I told you that's what I'm saying. I intentionally do that because I want you to talk to me.
So all of those
I want you to
things.
talk to me. Every now when I say you, I mean anybody listen. I want you to talk to me. This is always going to be for me, ongoing discussion,
So
and
that being
that's
that
what it is.
and being that, as you say, big brother, how often do we see the big brother come along and open the door up, but then
Right.
little brother takes it from there and just explode. So that's what I expect to see with you. I'll be Venus and you can be Serena. They come along, I
If
open the
you say
door and then
so.
all of a sudden, bam, you took every record. I'll be that. I'll be Peyton. I'll open up the door and then here comes Eli at an Ole Miss and just start shattering stuff. We'll do that. I'll be John the Baptizer. And nah, you know what I'm saying.
I got
That's
that.
just
I
me
get that.
joking.
But that's the thing, though. It's so exciting that that I get to sit and watch you, do your thing. Because let me tell you a little bit about my routine with your show. Is that I've come to expect it at a certain time, and most times I am awake. And I don't know if anybody's paying attention, but you don't sleep very much, and so
No,
you
no,
drop these shows in the middle of the night,
right.
because I'm up in the middle of the night. So I put my cup of coffee on, and then I was like, okay, any minute now, sir, any minute now, sir, and then so I can get to it, and here's the thing. Even if I don't listen to it right then, I still expect to see it. I don't know why. Like sometimes you might drop it at 1, 2 a.m. in the morning, and I
Right,
know, that I can't get to it like 7 or 8, but I still need the satisfaction of knowing that you did it. And so
right,
that's what it is for me, is to know that it's out there. And even if I can't get to it to the next day, because I'm very selfish with your podcast, because if someone interrupts me while I'm listening to it, then I got this fire in me that I'm gonna carry the rest of the day that may not be fair to other people. I'm like, man, I really don't want to hear what you're talking about because I really want I really want to listen to what my brother James is talking about. So I love the cadence that you've developed, because a lot of people would in no way attempt to do as many episodes as you're doing, and you're doing it by yourself. I mean, when you think
right.
about the TV shows that are out there, they have a whole production team.
Exactly. Or other
you know,
podcasts have a
right,
whole
right.
production team. They got writers, they got producers, they got social media experts. It's just James.
Yeah, it's just you, right? And that's the thing, and you know how I've been saying it, trying to be nice, like there is a James I know, seeing how you evolve over going from the pilot to where you are now, that's a beautiful thing to watch, to see what you've done. But let me ask you this real quick: out of
Okay.
all the shows that you've done, what's your favorite?
My favorite would have to be the urgency. Then I put
Mm,
it on the show. I said urgent why are black mothers dying during childbirth?
Yeah, yeah, I can see
That
that.
was one where, if you wanted to know, I tell people that start listening to the podcast, I always say listen to that one first, because
Okay.
you get to know me. And the reason why I say that is because I actually got so passionate in that show that I was angry. I
Yeah.
was mad, and you could hear it in
Right.
my voice, and I think when I go back and I listen to that one, you can see me.
Right.
There were mannerisms and gestures that I did while I was recording that show that you can actually see in your mind's eye while listening to
Did
it.
you stand up when you recorded that?
I did. You
Yeah, I
could
knew it. I
literally
knew it.
hear me
I
stand
knew it.
up.
I knew it.
You could
I knew
hear
it.
me stand. You
Right.
can hear me. You'll hear like wind, like
Right.
because you'll
Right.
hear my gesture. My hands are flying, and I just got to the point that I was so upset because why am I this little guy and
Hmm.
I'm the only one talking about it? Where are
Right.
all the big names? Where are the big TV shows? Where are they on this subject? Because it's to the point where the government has said, okay, this is a national emergency, and they've put it on their website, but nobody else is talking, and I lost it. Like, and
Right.
I lost it, but I didn't. And that's what I love.
Hmm.
I got angry, but it was righteous indignation, and I was able to curve it, and it made it, to me, the most passionate show ever that I did. And it was one of those shows that, and I'm just gonna say it. I started thinking, hey, if there's some big corporation out there and they want to sponsor my show, we're gonna start with that one,
Right.
because that I probably will never
Right.
be able to duplicate it again, because
Yes, you will.
I mean,
Yes, you will.
I was so passionate that, I mean, I like I said, I put that one against 60 Minutes any day of the week.
Right.
That show, I was live. I was
Yeah, that was what, about 56, 58 minutes on that one. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
And the
Uh-huh.
other longest show was with you, and I would
Hmm.
put that one as my second favorite. That was an hour and 15 minutes. I
Was that
never
how long it
planned on
was?
an hour and 15 minute show. Uh, like
I mean,
yeah,
is it wrong for me to say that was my favorite show?
no,
Selfish.
it's not wrong. It's not
Because
wrong at all.
it really
It was
was,
mine
because
too.
like going back to what I just said, when I was looking for the James that I know to come across on the microphone, outside the one you just talked about, right? I wanted that passion, and that I wanted people other than myself to really see you. And because you weren't talking about a particular topic, that other people may be interested in necessarily, I wanted them to just see you the same way I would see you sitting across from the dinner table, right? So that's what was why it was important for me. And of course, to be selfish, I got to talk about my favorite thing in the world, soccer, so
That
so
just that show to me was passionate too, because I don't think people understood all that it took for you and I to create that. That was the
yeah,
very first show, and we say live in the studio, but we had to sit here and figure out how to make this possible 700 miles from each other, and we
right,
did it, and it was amazing, and it sounded like we were in the studio together, all the behind the scenes, to putting it together,
right,
to figuring out, okay, well, we can't make that work. We got, oh, but no, let's go over here. And then we had the thing where we were talking about it, and I give the 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 synopsis, and I know I can't keep you all day, but I think the most powerful thing was you got at one point tired of talking. We were trying to make sure we could put this together and make a reality. And you said the most powerful thing I've ever heard, and now you're using it on your show. You was like, just turn on the effing mic. Because we can, in your
I
mind, you
did
was
say
like,
that.
we can sit here and talk about this till kingdom come, and try to find the perfect setting and the perfect sound, and we can do that. We still be doing it. You just
Right,
said, let's just turn the mic on, and we did, and we just had so much fun. The planning was a headache, but the show
right.
was fun because you just made me laugh when you said it. I started laughing, and then we did that. We just hit the mic button and bam, and
And
it
then
just
that's what happened, and that's how I feel when I approach my own podcast now. Is I might take a couple of notes, just to make sure that I know what I'm going to talk about, but I never know how I'm going to talk about it. So, I had to spend, that's why for now, like I know a few people ask me like, well, why don't you do more than one episode a week? Well, for me, I need to run some laps in my head a little bit. So for me, the episode itself feels like a sprint, but I've already ran a marathon
Right.
before I ever get on the microphone. So for me, yeah, it comes to that turn on the effing mic when I'm ready to go, and then and then I'm gonna do whatever I need to do in the moment. But yeah, that episode for me and you was very very special. I think I'll go
It
back and listen
was.
to it tonight,
It
and then
was.
because I'm gonna need some of that juice when I get back on. So speaking of which, you're gonna get on my show soon, right?
Well, I hope so. I hope
Yeah,
that you invite me on. I can't wait. And I'll be so giddy. I'll probably, run your minutes up. So it's not going to
that's
be
okay. That's
a short
okay.
episode. The people might as well count on that. They know from hearing
No,
you on this,
no.
we not doing nothing short.
No, that's the thing. I want people to, whenever they hear you, because you're going to be what I was telling you this. I want you to be the first guest. It would be,
I appreciate
it would be wrong for me to go get someone else to be the first guest. So I want you to be the first guest, and we're going to do what we did on the previous episode here on your show, and we're just going to go with it. And then I want people to be able to know that they need to go from my show. When my show clicks off, they need to already have your show queued up that it just automatically starts playing, and then they can just go where they got to go from there.
And that's the beautiful thing of it. It's going to be just like that, and we're going to have them come back to back on that particular day. I'm not going to announce days and nothing like that. I'm going to let you do all that kind of stuff, but I just think it's a beautiful thing. And like I said, I hate letting you go, but I know you have a whole other life and a busy life, and you got so much going on. But to
Man, let me tell you,
uh,
let me tell you about my whole other life. So the next thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna try to get some exercise because I'm rickety and old. So I got that to do, and
no,
then I'm gonna go. My 10-year-old, she's a night owl. If I don't say something to her, she's like you could tell her to go to bed, but then I think she doesn't realize that you can see the light flickering from the TV underneath the door. Right.
right,
So yeah, here soon I'm gonna go do that whole dad thing, and then my teenagers they stay up all hours of the night too, so we're gonna talk to them a little bit about that, and then
okay.
so the next thing I do, I said I'm gonna start working on my show, right? Just like you, I do my research, or for me, I have to journal every day, so I got that to do, so that way by the time I come to when I start recording, if I need to talk about something personal, I'll have it. Like if you go back to my episode that I just released yesterday, had I not put that in my journal that night, then I probably would have forgot about it and it would have never made it to the show. So that's what my busy life looks like, day to day. Just trying to be inspired, by the things I see. And like I said, I'm waiting on your next episode here, bro.
And the same here. Like I told you, I mean, whether you do how many episodes you decide a week, it won't be enough for me. I'm like Luther. It's never too much. Never too much. You can do
Right.
5 days a week, do 2 hour shows, and I would still be sitting there going, man, why you cut it so short? There's so much else here. So that's the
Well,
way
for
we
me,
feel about
like,
each other.
well, for me, it's like Nas. It ain't hard to tell. I know what you gonna do, James. I
Well,
already,
there's a lot of
because
quotes.
that's the thing,
My,
because sometimes, and I want to say this to you, and I want other people to hear it. How I may feel is sometimes I feel like I don't give you enough, right? That I don't give you enough praise or I don't give you enough hype. But I guess in a weird way of saying it because I expect it. I just expect it. So
I
I
appreciate
already, I already know that you're gonna give me some fire. I already know that you're gonna do a little bit better than most people. I already know this. So if I ever sound like I'm not giving you that juice or it doesn't come with that force, it's because my heart is already conditioned to knowing that that's just who you are. So
I
before I get out
appreciate
of here, I just want to say thank you for being who you are. Thank you for keeping it going because I know you get tired. I know there's times that you haven't felt well,
Yes,
but you've committed to it. And that's to be, respected and to be admired that no matter how hard it may be, you still putting out the quality, not just the quality of this podcast, but the quality of your life. And we'll talk about
thank
that more when we get to my show. Okay. I'm going to
you. All
leave a
right,
little bit on the
we'll
table.
pick it
See,
up from
there
there.
you go.
But thank
All
you for
right, brother.
saying that. That means so much. And thank you for being here today. That means so much. And yes, you know what the audience don't know. You know some of my worst days with temperatures and fevers, and that show
Hmm.
still happened.
Right.
So
It still happens.
appreciate you and love you so much. We don't say it enough as black men. We're going to fix that today. I love you. I'm so proud of you.
I
And
love you, bro.
I can't wait to see what your show becomes. And
All
thank you
right.
for being here on this one. On
Uh,
number 50.
there you go. 5-0.
Have a
Set
good
it
night,
off.
my brother.
You too, brother. We'll talk.
All righty. Bye
All
bye.
right, bet.
Mico, thanks for the call in. How are you doing tonight?
I'm great. I
Yeah.
appreciate you letting me come on in again.
Well, I tell you, show 50. I need the special people here. I need everybody that love and support the show right here. And here you are. How is everything going in your life? I know you have a busy day and a busy life, and I appreciate you taking the time to call into the show. How are you doing? And what is on your agenda for the rest of your day?
Yes. Well, I've had a long day. I had a lot of appointments I had to go to today and do some things with the kids. I actually wrote some more stuff for the second book because I told you about one, but I'm actually doing three. So I started writing some things for the second book, and yeah, it's the end of the day. I'm winding down, but I definitely had to come on here and make sure I enjoy this time with you to celebrate your 50th.
That I appreciate that, and thank you so much. I know you stay so busy, and this is actually a sacrifice on your part. But I would just wanted to let the people know that our relationship is as such. We have a lot of fun, and I think that it came across on our last episode, which just aired the actual last episode. It was Monday, and I think what's so cute about it, what the people don't know, is the behind the scenes because we and I put it in the show that this is where we feel the same. Like this particular subject, for the love of money, we feel the same about.
Right.
But then I have been, I want the people to know, debating you about the next segment since the show. You actually listen to the rest of the show. Call me the next day and like, no, I don't agree with that about them schools. That just no, And I enjoy it. I love it because I'm that person. Like I really research what I do for the show, as you know. So I
Hmm.
have to go and I have to research because I got people like you in the background that's gonna fact check me.
Oh
And
yeah, because you know me, I'm a conspiracy theorist. I'm not. You're not gonna tell me what them people wrote down and said this is correct. I'm like, wait a minute now, let me see. That just
and
didn't
I
sound
tell
right
you,
to me.
I have loved it. Like the first thing you said on the phone call, I was thinking you was calling to say, "Hey, I listened to the show and I like the way it flow. I like the way I sound." None of that. You didn't say. You said, Where you got them facts and those numbers about the school system? I had the send folks, and those of you out there listening, I had to go to the Department of Education's website where I got the facts and figures and send them to her. And that wasn't, like she just said, that wasn't good enough. She's still like, no, I don't believe everything they say. No, that ain't. And but the thing about it, what's so fun is you and I, we can debate a subject, but we both agree that each other's right. I'm sitting there and
Hmm.
I'm listening to you, and I agree with you. That hey, those are facts and statistics that's handed down to us from a group of people that want to get reelected next year. So hey, look how good we looking. We got the school system and people getting educated,
Hmm.
and so the other good thing was it gave us a chance to talk about this show. We're at number 50, and
Right.
education has been brought up 5 times in these
Yes.
podcasts.
Yeah.
So we talked about before that last. We talked about how awful it is with teachers' pay. We talked
Hmm.
about how segregated the school system is in some areas. There's some parts of this country where, I mean, there's still whites going to one school and blacks going to the other. It makes no sense to me.
Mm.
So we
Mm.
talked about that in this podcast. We've also talked about the disparity that's there with not only race but sex in school. So we've
Right.
had a chance to touch on these subjects, and I
Hmm.
wanted to give some kudos in that last show. I wanted to say, okay,
yes, I have beat the school system down. Like I beat it up on this show. But hey, let's here we got these statistics and numbers, and we're talking about 87% graduating and 6% dropout. Hey, that's one of the best numbers we ever heard, and then you just shot it all the way down.
Yeah, I
It
mean that's
was,
what you told me. You was like you wanted to give the kudos, and I was like, well, that's wonderful, but yeah, I
but
understand.
we got a long way to go.
Yeah, we got some time. I got these grandbabies I'm helping to raise, so I'm like, yeah.
And we
I have
do.
these days I want to just go up to the school and be like, what is really going on?
And that's
But but
another
but
thing
like you
that's
said,
awesome.
when we debate, I like that because it did make me think. You know what I'm saying? It made me go back and think, okay, so what else could I do? You know what I'm saying? To help them out also at the school.
And I love that because
Mm-hmm.
that's what it's about. You talked about being a grandmother and being involved. And
Mm-hmm.
then so our conversation went from, what the DOE said to that. We started talking about, okay, well, look, there is a school building, there is a student,
Mm-hmm.
and then there's the grandmother there.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that's not happening in a lot of, but sadly, in a lot of these children's lives, they don't have anybody
Right.
that is following, that's helping along. And as you know, I do my volunteer work. I'm out there in the school system. And I
Mm-hmm.
was standing in the class, and there's 22 students, and the teacher asked, and I told you about this. She said, well, what's 23 hours from 8 p.m.? I'm in the classroom with 14-year-olds that couldn't answer what's 23 hours from 8 p.m. Matter of fact, I asked them, well, what's 24 hours? I mean, how many hours? I get an answer, but how many hours in
Mm-hmm.
a day? And they couldn't tell me.
Yeah,
They're
that
14
was
years old. See, some things the school system can't teach you how to walk. Like
right.
they can't teach you how to talk. Some things got to happen at home, and I love the fact that you are involved in your grandkids' life, and you are involved in everything, every aspect of your life. You're involved to that point that you're ready to debate it, and you're ready to stand up and say, hey, school system, you're not doing, like, your child was coming home with good grades and you questioned it. You were
Mm-hmm.
like, well, wait a minute. I know that she can't do this, and this. How is she coming home with? So that's a beautiful thing. And I wish there were more mothers, fathers, grandparents like you. I really do. I wish we had more of that. And, you're a joy to be around, not only as a podcaster and a friend, but just to see how you run your life. It's very
Oh,
orchestrated, and I love
I
it. So,
appreciate that. I do. And
but
appreciate your podcast and everything that you put out on there. I just love it because it's such a variety of different topics that you go over.
thank you.
You know what I'm
Thank you.
saying? And then I love the fact that you bring in your own personal touch to it and you talk about your own personal experiences. And I'm like, okay, that's cool, especially since I know you. So a lot of times I know what you're talking about.
Right, right.
Like
You
when you
know
were
the
talking
inside
about
stuff.
losing the pet,
Oh man.
I was like, oh James.
Oh, I
Oh
mean, I one of the saddest shows I
yes.
did, because literally cried on that show. Literally,
Mm-hmm.
because I mean it has been 2 years, and I still feel like I did the day it happened.
Mm,
You
mm, mm.
you better make me start crying now.
Oh,
So,
don't do
but
it.
but I appreciate that because I pour my heart out, and I think
Mm-hmm.
that's what makes the show. I appreciate you saying it, but I think too, in my own mind, that's what makes the show special. I don't get on here and do a CNN. I'm not, trying to just give you the news. I'm talking about ways. It's a self-help show, and
Right.
I talk about self.
Mm-hmm.
I can't help anybody else if I haven't gone through experiences in my life. So out of 50 shows with 4 segments each show,
Mm-hmm.
of those 4 segments, I have to say 90% of the things I talk about is what I personally went through. Now, what I say 90%, I know you're gonna fact check me. The reason why I use the percentage, because I did not personally go through childbirth as a female. So that particular show, which is one of my favorites, I
Mm-hmm.
can't say, well, yeah, I experienced, no, I didn't. Sadly, I lost a friend due to
Yeah.
he
Yeah.
passed away, but that's the thing is talking about self is not easy.
Mm-hmm.
pouring yourself out to the public because it makes you vulnerable. It makes
It
you
does.
like you mentioned with that particular show. I know there was some people out there listening to it that went, he is that passionate about his dog.
And
You
you are.
the
Look, and you
behind the
are.
scenes,
Mm-hmm.
you know this. They're my babies. They're not. I have 3 dogs that have no clue that they're dogs.
Mm,
Nobody ever told them that they was dogs. Because when they go to the groomer, he calls them babies. When they get in the car, they got clothes and strollers and so they baby in the car. Matter of fact, they'll see a dog and start barking at it. They can't stand a dog
mm,
because they
mm,
think
mm,
people.
mm.
So it's I laugh about it, but some of these shows that you've listened to, I'm sure you
Mm-hmm.
got that is him. He cleaning
Yes.
it up, he making it
Yes.
sound, but behind the scenes, that's him. That's what he suffers with. That's what he enjoys. I
Mm-hmm.
enjoy, having the 3 babies. That's my thing. So, uh, but then there's other things in life that you've got a chance to see. You've got to see me with friendships. I talk about relationships often on the
Oh,
show,
yes. Yes.
and you know how passionate I am.
Mm-hmm.
Even with you, when I
Yeah.
love you, I love you. I mean, I
Aw.
I say it, I feel it, it goes through my bones,
Aw.
and I have those. That's the way I am, and so I love you personally, and
Mm-hmm.
you've seen me with other people that I love passionately,
Right.
and how I get when they, as we talk about, act the fool. When they start, I
Yes.
get so upset
Yes.
because I love them. It's not I'm upset because they doing something stupid. No, we all do something stupid.
Mm-hmm.
I'm upset because the love is so deep, and I just can't imagine that this is going on. And you've seen it behind the scenes. So then when I get on the show and I'm talking about relationships, I'm talking about marriage, I'm talking about you
Mm-hmm.
can see him go, I know that's him because that's how he is in his daily life when he
In his
walks the
daily
street.
life. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
That's I don't hold back. And like as you know it, I don't. If I love you, I'm gonna tell you. I got that from my daddy. My daddy, he used to say, you never hang up the phone or you never end a conversation with people you love without saying you love them
Mm-hmm.
because that might be the last time you talk to them.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
that's a very passionate man. And I got that from him, and I've maintained it. Even in his and I conversations, we may talk 5 times a day. The phone disconnect or whatever, and each time we call back, we say, "I love you." I love you. Might say that just that, and that's a great thing. And
It
but
is.
I'm not gonna try to hold you because I can talk the ears off a rabbit, but I want you to know that this call is so much appreciated. I want the audience to know that you're going to hear a lot more of her. I went behind the scenes. We talked about it, and we definitely want to do a segment together. So we're creating a new segment, his and hers. Well, she'll get to talk
Yay.
weekly. How about that? We'll get to hear Mico weekly, and we'll touch on subjects. Now, again, we may debate a subject, we may not, but like you saw when we were talking about education,
Mm-hmm.
we can agree to disagree, and we can laugh and joke about it.
Right.
This won't be like some of these shows where you see on TV where they yelling and screaming and
Mm-hmm.
throwing a
Yeah.
tablet at each other.
We're not about
No,
to put on boxing gloves. We're not going to do that.
ain't gonna be nothing because our relationship's built on love, and
Yes,
it's gonna
definitely.
show to the audience. So his and hers will start. What day did we say? We said Mondays, right?
Yeah, we said Mondays.
So that
Mm-hmm.
Mondays, because we want to give her enough time to be prepared to debate your boy. That.
Yeah, because with you, I know I got to get my facts straight. Lord. I
And
got to
come to
make
me
sure
with,
I'm coming correct.
oh, and it's got to be like documented. I got to see the date that article was written. I'm like, no, we're gonna, as you guys can see with the laughter, that we're gonna have.
Mm-hmm.
But the one thing about it too is his and hers. It's not a debate. It's not his versus her or
Right.
any of that kind of stuff. It's us because I think the quality of what we can produce would be a lot of fun. You're now, writing your third book. I haven't accomplished one, and I've been wanting to do that my whole life. You're my inspiration, And I really appreciate. Thank you so much for being here and being a fan of the show.
Oh,
I mean,
you're welcome. You're my inspiration as well. You know, you've done a lot in life, and I'm like in awe of it all. So,
I appreciate you.
yeah.
And I'm not going, like I said, hold you. I'm going to end the conversation as
Okay.
I should and I would. And I'm going to every time that we hang up from each other. Oh, I love you. I
All
love you
right.
a lot. And thank you so much.
Love you too. You have a great night. Enjoy your night.
You too. Take care now.
Okay. Bye bye.
Bye bye.
So this is part 1 of episode 50. We will have part 2 on Friday. We hope you've enjoyed it. I tell you, we've had so much fun with you guys being here with us today. And we look forward to you being with us on Friday and hear more calls from our audience and the love that's given to this show. On Cash App at $Live Laugh Talk, and on Twitter at Live Laugh Talker. Also on Spotify, you can hit the $ to donate and support the podcast. Any and everything is appreciated. Remember to rate us the highest on your podcast platform. Tell your friends. Tell them that this is an established podcast. They have reached 50 episodes. And most importantly, I want you to remember this. This is James and George's baby boy signing off. And as you know, I can't wait till Friday so that we can speak to you again about show 50.